If you're tired of doors getting in the way and closing up your house and you want to get rid of them, one of the greatest ways you can do to open up a space without removing an entire wall is to add an arch, right? Hi, my name is Jeff from Home Renovision. Today we're going to be removing this door, showing you how to frame, how to cut, how to design it, how to finish it, different building materials and techniques so you can do this project yourself at home. If you've got an older house especially, you know that they used to make these places chopped up little sections, right? And if you can't be messing around with moving walls because you have plumbing and heating and HVAC and structural issues, then one of the best ways you can open up a space is to remove your doors and just add an arch at the top, give the illusion of space, bring the light from the other rooms into the other rooms, and widen everything out, okay? It's a really quick way to do it. I'm going to show you a system today that actually we're going to rebuild the wall back so that we're not even affecting the footprint of the flooring. So if you've got flooring or carpet or tile, whatever we take away, we're going to be building back as part of our finish, and it's going to make a perfect finish at the floor as well. It's not going to affect the ceiling. It's a quick little tidy job that you can do in a couple of days and get a brand new look in your house, all right? All the technique that we're going to show here you can take to larger scale as well, but the idea of removing a door from a space, if all you do is take the door off the hinges, it looks kind of silly. So we're going to show you what to do here right from the scratch, and we're just going to use a couple of simple tools, right? This is a level 4 out of 10 difficulty, okay? It's considered a remodeling project. You don't need building permits for this. And it's a level 4 because you're going to need a little finished carpentry and you're going to need some drywall skills as well. Okay, and if you're not sure what all that means, you can check out the link to this video right here. We explain our new rating system. It's a guide to help you homeowners out to know what tools you're going to need and what skill levels you're going to need. And we're going to have videos to help you gain all of those skills, okay? But for today, let's just jump into this project. We're going to just remove our door first. Let's get that out of here. And of course, we got to take our trims off. All right. Now for the door jambs, in a lot of cases, depending on the age of the house, they'll be nailed or screwed in. Just want to put your hammer in here. Yeah, that's just nailed in the top and bottom. Well, I should probably not be so aggressive because I'm not concerned about the carpet. Let's pretend you want to keep your flooring. That'll be a better demonstration, I'm thinking. All right. If you want to keep your flooring intact and not destroy your house, you're going to want to cut the jamb in the middle. There we go. Now you can remove the jamb nice and simple from the top and not damage your floor. All right, well, we just ran into our first problem. This framing here is completely out of level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back the drywall to expose it all, because part of our rebuild here is going to involve adding 2x4s on each side, okay? Go right to the ground, and then we're going to drywall around them all, okay? That'll get us the finish for our flooring. But when I add that 2x4, I'm going to have to shim it level. So I'm going to need to expose this area, and we're just going to trim back the drywall here so that we can do that. Okay, both sides so we can properly shim. This room has got a lower ceiling than outside, so we're going to establish this 15 inches higher. So, let's get this done. All right, now this is only drywall. Okay. All right, now you just want to remove the drywall from both sides to expose the framing. Okay, so we found the next problem we're going to have to contend with. Wait till you see this. Yeah, you guessed it, wiring. Okay. Boy, we're going to get to learn all kinds of tricks today. First thing we're going to do is determine how big our arch can get. I know this is very strange construction. This is the church, our studio, and this is a ceiling area which could have been a lot higher actually, oddly enough. Now I'm not going to get into raising the ceiling for the purpose of the arch. We're just going to go through the steps to create one. This could be the top of our arch. It goes like this, but here. Now because of the wiring, I have restrictions. So, to find out how much restriction I have, this wire can go up to about here. Looks like my arch is going to have to finish at this height. Okay, so we're going to make what's called a flat arch, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But first we got to remove all of the wood surrounding these wires so that we can lift these wires out of our way. Great. Now, when you see something framed like this, okay, this is not a jack stud. There's nothing here supporting this. This is just here to hold drywall, okay? Which means it's not load bearing. If this was carrying load from these two, then this 2x4 would be this way, and there'd be two of them, and they'd probably be a 2x6, all right? So now I know that it's just a framed wall for the sake of holding up drywall. I can rip it out with great confidence. All right, the next two, a little more surgical precision involved. By the way, as a note, when you buy this package of Diablo blades, it's like $30, but you get like over a dozen blades. If you buy them one at a time, they're almost $10 each. So consider buying the whole pack. It's a one-time investment that gives you all kinds of different blades for the rest of your life as a homeowner, and you aren't gonna have to go back to the store and spend $10 a blade. Wow. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut halfway through the stud so then I can release the wires from the framing and then finish cutting the framing out. The reason I'm sawing while I'm using it is because, well, this is a reciprocator, and because this foot pedal wasn't against anything solid, there's no way to keep the blade from just bouncing around. So by doing a sawing motion, I'm giving contrary motion to the blade, and it cuts a lot faster. All right, so now through the magic of science, we are just going to take the claw right into the grain of the wood and split the beam and release the wires, right? If you get a stubborn one like this, you got to know how much power to put on it and when to hold back, right? There we go. There we go. That wire is released. One more here. I got syrup all over me. That's just great. It's pine syrup. Can't even make a decent maple syrup out of that. Here we go. Oh, I can come at it from the other end probably easier. Okay, that's it. Nice and easy, right? Now we can finish cutting the rest of this wood out, and we're gonna work out our, I'm gonna wash my hands first. This is nasty stuff. So we're back and we're bad, and I'm just gonna basically finish cutting this off. I'm okay with this extending down a little bit, but I don't want to have any of this wood in where I'm building my actual arch, so we'll just cut right through. All right, this is the old stick. That's the height of the old door. Height of the old door. If we start from there and we bring our arch right up to where these wires are, we're in fabulous condition. Right? Because that's out of the way. I like to work clean, and when that means finish the demolition entirely, clean up the ground. I don't want to go through a step to make a bigger mess over and over and over again. When it comes to removing these nails, they go two directions. Nope. I feel that there's a wire moving as a result of that. So I'm going to grab it with the hook. Okay. Here comes a little trick of the day. I'm going to turn this around. Oh, come on. All right, this was obviously built back in 1980 when the screw heads were massive. The nail heads were massive, sorry. Like I said, there's a blade for every scenario in here. Safety squints. There you go, problem solved, nice and clean. All right, so now that I got my measurements, let's just go through the process and I'll understand the science behind how we're building. So right now, the wall is framed with 2x4, the wide lumber. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build an arch and near the top of the wall out of 2x3, because the actual dimensional difference between these two lumbers is exactly a full inch, which means that if I build a 2x3 structure with 1/2 inch plywood on each side. That's right, it's exactly the same thickness as my 2x4, which means I can build on my arch and then just add a piece of 2x4 at the bottom and then wrap it all in drywall. Life is good. So this is the most simplest process that you can go through to not just have an arch, but have it structurally sound. Because by having the plywood be the arch, we actually have something that is reinforced. It's really easy to finish afterwards. So, just gonna get this out of the way. I wanted to demonstrate that, give you a visual. But, here we go. By the way, if you haven't done this yet, go grab yourself a nice $50 extension cord and rewire your saw and put a nice 25-foot 14 gauge wire cord on it. It'll change your life. Alrighty. We did a video on that process. You can check out the link right here. You might think it's crazy, but it's a lifesaver for me. Okay, so my arch is going to be, and these are just all the tools we're going to use here. Okay, real quick, jigsaw, need a chalk line, measuring tape, and a square. This is factory edges on the plywood, and my door width is 34 3/4. Right there. Okay. Now that's easy. Now one side is 16 inches, the other side is 18 inches because the room height ceiling difference. But if you remember, from the outside, we're gonna go 18 inches. So let's say that's the top of my arch, all right? Just for argument's sake. I'm gonna go to 18 inches. That's where the arch stops. But my arch doesn't stop there. My arch should be 1.5 inches thick at this point. So that when I'm done the arch and I add that other 2x4, my finish line is continuous, okay? So I want 1.5 inches added here. That becomes the beginning of my arch, okay? That also means my 34 3/4, I measure down, because this is the space drywall to drywall. 18, I'm coming in 1.5 inches here as well. All right, so here's the bottom of my arch points. So I'm gonna go from here to here, right? One other number I need is how low my arch has to be in order to create a protection for those wires. And that number is 6. So I have to get my midpoint. 34 3/4, half of that, well, half of 34 is 17. And half of 3/4 is 3/8. Yeah, you just double the base number, right? So there's that. So 17 3/8, that's my midpoint right here. Throw a center line on there, okay? And we're gonna come down 6 inches from the top. Is the top. All right. So far it all makes sense. So here's how we actually draw this out. You can make as many marks as you like on this because it's going to get covered in drywall later. Now, our midpoint, in order to draw an arch, that's why we need the chalk line. We need the string. We're going to just measure this now. From here to here is 12 inches exactly. And here is not. This is 15 1/4, okay? From 12. So, what I need to do is actually measure 15 1/4, which is the radius of my circle, okay, from here, which is the height of my arch. That is where I want to put a screw. All right, throw in a screw. All right, life is nice and simple here. Okay, so here's my edge. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to hold my pencil, okay? That wasn't terrible, but it wasn't right on the money either, was it? 15 1/4. Why am I 16 here? Whoops, I did the math wrong. I should have measured the gap because I made the adjustments. The midpoint here is actually 15 1/2 and 1/8. Right here. That's my midpoint. Which means this is in the wrong spot. We'll start that over again. Should be over here. And that also means that I'm 15.5 1/8. My screw should be down here. Well, that makes a lot more sense now all of a sudden. We'll try that again. There we go. There, that was much better. Done with that, done with that, done with that. So that's my first arch, okay? The cool thing about this is now I can take this, I can cut it, and then take the template and just do it again with the 16-inch height difference, all right? It's gonna be nice and quick. So let's just cut those both cut out, and we'll talk about how to frame up the wall. There's arch number 1. Now, for arch number 2, all we have to do is set the height is 16. So we just set it up, trace that arch. We're gonna cut the second piece. And we got 2 arches, one for the short ceiling, one for the tall ceiling. Now, let's just go back over to the opening and we'll go through the assembly. All right, so what I've done is this is what these nails were for that 2x4, okay? And then you had a 5/8 jamb and then the door stop. So people are already used to that height. So what I did is for this particular arch, because of these wires, I don't want to have too flat. So I went with 16 inches as my finished rough in, okay? So now what I got to do is I have to put a 2x3 block up here, a 2x3 block down here, and then same thing over here on this side, all right? So I just got to make a couple of blocks so that I can have something to attach that plywood to. So I'm looking at a couple of 5s will work, 5s will work for, let's just cut forward 5 inches. For that, that's all we need. All right, now this is not precision work, right? So I'm just going to use a square and mark 5 inches a few times. That'll be close enough. And then I'm just going to set the guide against my square and cut. Because it's not precision, just go freehand. You just got to keep this plate parallel to the edge of the wood and it cuts really nice. Remember, the arch we're going to be constructing here only needs to carry a couple of pounds. And since there's no trims going on it, as far as casing, no one's going to be hanging a baby bouncer or anything off it, right? Don't have to worry about it. I'm using a piece of plywood here so I can line up my 2x3 right to the front edge of that 2x4 and then drive this home. Okay. I'm only using one screw in the middle so it can rotate to be perfectly in position. We'll do that with all 4 of these blocks. Okay, here we go. That's about as easy as that gets. And we're just going to bring this down to the pencil mark. No, we're going pencil mark to pencil mark here. We're not worried about gaps, cracks, anything else. If this and this are on that pencil mark, that's what I'm looking for. All right, now we'll just screw the top in as well. And then we'll do the other side. Okay, so let's talk about the reason for this structure out of the wood. Obviously, we need something to attach our drywall to on the face, but how we build the bottom side of this curve is crucial. And the only way to do that is to actually put in blocks and screw it all together. Okay, that's why the need for the plywood. Now, let's just get this right here. All right. And get that at the right height there. There we go. Yes, I'd buy a new drill every year. I'm a little hard on my tools. There we go. Okay. And up there. Brilliant. Now, that is done. Fantastic. Now remember, this is out of level. That's why this is built out a little bit. we're gonna end up watching this. I'm gonna put my 2x4 in here off the front corner, and then I'm gonna level it from that point down, okay? I built it wide on purpose so I'd have some room to make that adjustment, and it's easier to do that after than first. Now, wires tucked up out of the way, not an issue there, fantastic. Let's go and get a few more blocks so that we have some backer here. We need something to be able to attach our drywall to. I'm gonna take my 2x3, which is already the right dimension. I'm just gonna cut little 3 and 4 inch blocks and lay them all around and through here, okay? So we're looking at approximately 10, 20, 30, 36 inches of curve. 3 inch, 4 inch blocks, 10, we'll make 6 or 7. Max was just having a conversation with me while we were doing that time lapse. And he was like, so you're gonna wet the drywall and bend it in? I'm like, no. He goes, you're gonna use the 1/4 inch drywall like with the curved wall video you made? I'm like, no, because they don't sell the right kind of materials at the Home Depot to buy a lot of these commercial industrial tricks. So what I'm gonna show you is how to make this out of regular 1/2 inch drywall, which they do carry at the local building store, because that's probably what you're gonna be able to get your hands on. All right, now before we can drywall all this, we do have to do our framing. So let's cut a couple 2x4s to length, get them leveled off and squared off properly with some shims so that at least we have the foundation of our structure made. So this one's level. I don't even need any shims. I just don't like the way it's twisted, to be honest with you. I feel like this framing here is just a little twisted. Yeah, that's much better. We are screwing wood together. I can't be shy here, okay? I don't want to have any room for expansion and contraction. So I am going to throw a couple extra screws in because I'm going to have a joint. Now that joint isn't technically exactly where the wood is, but I'm not going to be screwing this piece of drywall to that frame. And that means if these two pieces of wood move around a little bit, I'm gonna get a crack. So I really wanna screw the living bejeebers out of this because I don't want it going anywhere. All right, other side. Put one in the bottom because we know this one's messed up. Of course, if you have a laser level, you can make quick work of this. Let's just see how that's laying out for us. Level, right where my cut is. That is hilarious. That makes my life way too easy. I'm gonna use my 1/2 inch block, plus a couple shims because it's twisted this wall. Okay, it's not quite enough. We're gonna go one more piece. There we go. That is gonna be the money. Wow, you can already tell that my plan for a drywall here is going to have to include cutting this drywall back so that I can screw the drywall at that wood and this wood. I'm not going to have a choice. The only other option would be to fill all this with expansion foam, but I don't have any on me today. But like I said, I'm not as worried about expansion contraction here because, like I said, I'm going to be screwing the wood to both pieces, and so I won't get that cracking problem. But I'm definitely gonna have to cut that drywall back. Okay, now, one step at a time, let's complete this. When you install with shims, you know it's level because you put the screw in. Cut the shim off right away, okay? The amount of times I've almost lost an eye or put a gash in my forehead by shims hanging out of the wall. Trust me. Okay, let's get rid of the bloody things as fast as possible. Oh boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy. Okay. Was a piece of plywood. All right. Boy, I love having like my workbench right where I'm working. This is awesome. Moving so fast. Okay. There we go. Kind of looks like an arch, right? I'm having a very introspective moment. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about drywall. Hey, easy to install drywall on both sides. Don't do that first. Let's do the underside first, okay? Because that's going to give us something that we can scribe with our drywall cutout tool after we put the wall in. Because the cutout tool has that flat section at the bottom that'll actually follow the drywall itself. And that'll help get us a perfect curve. So what we're gonna do here is measure a piece of drywall, rough to make, okay, from here all the way around. So that is 16, and that is 2 feet to there, 2 feet, and then 4 feet, 4 feet, 8 feet. There's another way to do this. Here's my cutout. Yeah, I know this is gonna make a lot of sense real quick. If I can just hold that in place, okay? Looks like about 43 inches, which means if we cut just the width on a full sheet of drywall, it gives us 48. It's enough to do the whole curve. That's exciting. But just wood to wood, and it's gonna be 3.5 because it's the same as a 2x4. Didn't even have to measure that one. Let's go cut some drywall. It's not gonna take long to realize what I'm doing here. I do wanna do one thing first, because I do have a flat section of wood at the very top of this. So I'm gonna mark my center at 2 feet, kerf it on each side of that. Okay, we're just cutting paper every few inches, all right? That's right, we're gonna put actual breaks in it. Oh, let's get them all. Unfortunately, I'm out of drywall screws today. So I'm gonna be using flooring screws to put this in. Yes, you can be creative. It is a coated screw and it doesn't rust, so don't worry about it. Now, and that really is what a drywall screw is. It's a coated screw that doesn't rust. It's also very weak. Trying to put this up is where the difficulty comes in, which is why you wanted to save that scrap piece of wood, okay? Yep, you guessed it. We're gonna just balance her right up on there. Oh, oh, oh. And there's my middle. This is going to be one for the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, nuts. Nuts.
Oh, it's like a fit there.
Oh, it would have worked if I had it done before the 2x4s. So I realized I have exactly the same shape, but 2x4s are in the way. So I just trimmed off the edges. All right, so now we get to go do this. I'm gonna climb up here first. So that was kind of nuts. I'm not a circus performer, that's for sure. I don't have that kind of balance, eh? This is the money. And the goal here is just to hold all of this with the plywood until we get a few screws in. You know where the blocks are because I've got screws. There are a few obvious problems with doing drywall this way. One of them, of course, is that all these weak spots, okay? Paper tends to blister because it's been peeled off the surface. All of these things are irrelevant if you use a quickset mud with a hardener. That's right, gotta have the right tool for the job here. And then, done. Now we're gonna do the front and the back. Just wrap up the rest of the frame. This takes a few minutes, but it's basic drywall. I'll show you a couple of tricks that'll help us out. So 35, that wastes a lot of drywall. How about this? 24 inch, a 35 inch, I can get both pieces. I'm losing 35 inches of drywall. This is worth noting. I have a 35 inch width, and the 18 plus the 16 height is still less than 4 feet. So if I cut my width to fit the space on the drywall sheet, I lose 35 inches. If I was to cut 2 feet, for instance, right, and do a 2 foot section here and a 2 foot section here, I'm actually losing 4 feet of my drywall sheet. So always think about your math and your options, which uses less material, because you'll be surprised how fast that sheet of drywall will disappear when you start cutting out arches. From here, 36.5. Okay, remember, I still have to cut this drywall out right here in order to get rid of my framing issue. It's a lot of extra unnecessary work, but it's gonna be worth it. So I'm gonna measure my piece of drywall off to that line 36 and a half. All right, and then I'm gonna come over here and install it. Remember what I said about trying not to make a mess over and over and over again? This kind of stuff really irritates me, but I don't have a choice. I want to cut this to the same height as this drywall. 20 3/4 over here, and we're way lower. Okay, so we're gonna go to 22. Is what it is. So 22 inches. I measure down. There's my mark. Set my square. All right, now I'm gonna try to use my tapered edges where my joints are, always. Because I can cut 4-foot sections any width and always have a nice tapered joint. If I start doing butt joints and other kind of corner joints and this and that and the other thing, the whole thing just gets messy. There we go. I'm going to show you what I do here when I put the other piece on, but I'm basically just going to trace out the arch. I'm going to cut down the middle, and it should be just open like wings. There. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay, that wasn't too pretty, but mission accomplished. It's a little bit of fooling around. And it's going to be fine at the end of the day. Drywall taping solves every problem you're going to have. There is not a drywall problem you can have that you can't fix with good taping. Secret is just don't have loose paper on the surface. Okay? Other than that, you're good to go. All right. And this corner is a little bit weak, so we'll do that too. All right, option number 2. Measure up to the top of your spot, 21 inches. So I'm going to set my spot to plunge through at 20 inches. All right, I'm using a rotozip or any drywall cutout tool will work fine. It's a spiral cutting blade, a few thousand rotations a minute. It's amazing, but the tip is very soft and round. It's like a pilot. So the idea here is that it should be able to follow the contour of the drywall. It'll probably chew up the paper a little bit, but it should work relatively well. Let's see what happens here. That almost did it right. I got a little aggressive on the backside here and I missed the paper, but other than that, not a bad little tool, eh? Huh. Dusty as hell, but it does a good job. All right, I'm gonna clean up again. I'm gonna wrap the rest of this in drywall, and then I'm gonna show you the corner bead that you're gonna be using and how to function with that stuff. So when it comes to wrapping something like this, instead of cutting a bunch of little pieces, I'm gonna show you a little secret. We're going to basically, I'm going to cut this drywall so it's all the same height, same over here. I'm going to measure 2 inches on the back side. I need 4.5 inches across the front because it's also the width of the drywall. And that's 6.5, there's 3, there's 9.5. Let's give it a little bit of extra room. We're going to go with an 11-inch piece of drywall. And I'll show you that it's easier to attach one side, then cut it loose, and then attach the next side, and then cut it loose. And, okay, it's much more efficient. So for 11 inches, way too easy, Using the square, we just set the 11 there, cut on the right hand side. And that's enough for 4 feet. We'll set it again, another 11 for the other side. It's gonna be something close. And then there'll be one more piece to finish everything off to the floor. Okay, there's all our drywall. Okay, here we go. Attached drywall. Now this is a lot easier if I was wearing my pouch, but unfortunately it interferes with the microphone. Here we are. Score that. Okay, we're going to start with the finished edge because that was actually installed on a slant. Now before I go in my next piece, I just want to check for any stragglers that are hanging out. We're good. So I'm just going to go flush off that corner and make sure the drywall is flush all the way down. Don't need to put 100 screws in it. I don't know what it is about tiny pieces of drywall. Everybody wants to put a screw every 2 inches. Not necessary. Don't do it. It'll drive somebody else crazy some other day. One of these days, the world will be like, oh, we can't stand arches again. Everybody will be ripping these out and putting indoors. There we go. Don't ever waste your time cutting things exact. Especially when you're up against a rough surface like this. All right. Now we are going to use drywall tape and fast setting compound and all that kind of business here. Although I'm going to wreck my own advice here and put another screw here. Okay. Now, that one's garbage. All right. It's moments like this you realize, oh, that's why he did that. Why we cut it all at the same height. Because down here, I need 3 pieces. And they're all just a little less than 27, right? So here's the 11 inches that I cut. Here's just a little less than 27. Okay? Now I got all 3 for the bottom. You measure once, and you can just fly through the installation. What looks like it's going to take all day should only take a few minutes. Now, if you remember, we measured around and we found that a 48-inch drywall piece finishes the whole curve. So, what I got here is a 10-foot bead. All right? Well, it's hard to get this thing to stand straight. It's designed to do the curve. I'm going to confirm that it's a 10. That's obvious. Okay, so we're going to go to 5. Right here. 1 for the front, 1 for the back. Just looking for my snips. This stuff is so much fun to deal with. And by fun, I mean a real pain in the ass. But it does a great job. Check this out. It's like a reinforced silicone bead corner, outside paper corner bead. Okay? Now all you got to do to put this on is make this side flex. And so this just tears off. And you instantly have a bead for an arch. Okay, here we go. Something like that. Okay? Now, we don't use fasteners or screws. We're just going to apply that with regular compound. And then we're going to fill all of this after the compound is set with the quickset compound. It's got the hardener, so we don't get any of those cracks translating through later. But for now, we're just going to do the first coat of taping and get that installed. Now, obviously, this isn't the only way to do an arch, right? Drywall paper that's loose, tear it off. But this is the great way to do it with building materials that are at the local store. 1 sheet of 1/2-inch plywood, 1 sheet of 1/2-inch drywall, 2 2x4s, and 1 2x3. Right? And this corner bead, by the way, sold at Home Depot. So the corner bead is sold at Home Depot, not an issue. Now, we're simply going to apply it off the side of the knife. Okay? We can be somewhat liberal here, which means to use a lot of material. That was not a political statement. There we go. Which I just believe just made it one, didn't I? By saying it's not. I don't know how that works. All right, guys. So in most situations with drywall, I preach that less is more. In this particular case, you do want to have a healthy coat. And you want to try to balance this out just enough. Okay. Just set it. Okay. Now this is quite a raised edge here at this point. It's filling it in a little bit. All right. When I'm done, we're going to come back and I'm going to do 45-minute compound, okay, on the whole thing that goes from corner to corner. But for now, I just want to make sure I got positive contact with the compound and the bead so that it sets properly. And now, if you're not familiar with the world of drywall compound and how to tape, we've done a rather comprehensive video that'll teach homeowners how to be their own drywall experts. In this world today, you've got to learn how to use these skills all by yourself. It's getting far too expensive for an average homeowner to start hiring all the different trade people out there. There we go. Not bad. You want it clean. You don't want to have excess material in the corners. Okay? And then clean your hawk up. Organize all that mud into the middle. Let's do the same on the back side. There we go, guys. Well, I'm pretty much out of tips and tricks now. I'm just going to finish the taping off. If this was interesting to you, then give this video a like. If you're researching because you're thinking about getting this done and you're going to hire somebody, I'd love to know in the comments section. Versus if you're watching this video so you can learn how to do it yourself. Okay? That would be really good information for me to have. I want to know if we should be doing really complex, in-depth tutorials or just going broadly about our business here is enough. All right? What would you guys prefer? All right? Now, if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel. We got a lot of videos coming up. We're in the middle of our church studio. I don't know if you're aware of it, but we bought a church. We turned it into a production studio so I can spend my days making how-to videos. And if you're a homeowner looking to do this on your own and you're running into trouble with your project and you got questions and you need help, consider joining our membership program. For just a few bucks a month, you get access to our forum. You can send me emails, and then we can help you out. Now, if you want to learn how to do all this taping, you're out of luck. That's not in this video. This is how you make an arch. Somewhat obvious at this point. If you want to learn how to tape, you can click the link over here. We got a great A to Z video we just finished shooting the other day. It's going to go in depth about all the techniques and the tools and the processes with a bunch of hacks in there for DIY drywallers like yourself so that you can get professional results. See you soon. Cheers.